finds if the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch. Hello, my name is Tambuatco and welcome to our program. Before we start tonight's program, I'd like to do a small critique or small commentary on today's event, the breaking news, what's going on in Quiapo, the Feast of the Black Nazarene. Ako po, pag-umpisa lang natin, ako Katoliko sarado, I'm not necessarily extreme left or extreme right. I'm Catholic. The day I was born, and throughout my education, through Ateneo, De La Salle, and wherever I've gone through, I've remained the Catholic I was raised to be. This morning I was watching the Feast of the Nazarene like I did last year. And I was appalled, not by the devotees who wanted to come up, whose hearts are all out and who are all in heart, body, and soul Catholics. I don't understand the portion where people step on top of each other's heads. I don't understand the portion where you have a high density of people that are standing side by side, skin into skin, body to body, pushing each other, moving like a wave, like a tsunami of people that is actually life-threatening. Of course, I'm not sure I understand the paganism of the practice of how we go towards the statue. While I do respect it as a Catholic, if I'm not mistaken, the very same icon is in the Quiapo Church at any given time all year round. I understand the 24 hours that the feast is supposed to be displayed and paraded around Manila. I can understand how the president came out to check on this, expecting 8 million people, wherein in reality, based on media again, it was supposedly 9 million as of 9 o'clock this morning. As of this show, as it's airing, we probably have the 9 million strong pressing skin to skin. God knows how many would be hurt at this point in time and how many thieves would have been caught. What I find difficult to understand is the police. They were all ready. They have the military. They have all the different they have all the cops, military, whatever. They were all down there and they were prepared, and they had met about this all week, last week, only to see the same chaos that was displayed on TV. Ladies and gentlemen, is this devotion or is this what I call chaos? When people start trampling on top of each other regardless of human life, convenience, there is no sanctity of space. Just to get ahead, what? So you can wipe your white cloth, which you buy down in the same area, which is merchandise, to wipe on the cross and to take home. Now, I'm not going to poop on the people who believe and have devotions on their faith. I leave that to them, and I can even celebrate that. What I don't understand is why we even have police if all they're going to do is sit there and watch and wait for somebody to get sick, hurt, or mobbed or robbed. Shouldn't we install discipline? The one thing Marcos has left us, and no one can dispute to the very day, and it's kung ang pag-uunlad ng bayan, disiplina ang kailangan. Ladies and gentlemen, what we saw in Quiapo today, I mean, gee, I wasn't sure if it was Syria I was watching or Iraq. Either way, it seemed like the Arab Spring, and it was chaos all around. Why even have a police when they don't even know how to create lines? Why can't we line up? Okay, ikaw naman, susunod kayo, susunod kayo. Tsaka kung masyadong delikado, people are pressing skin to skin because there's 8-9 million of them. No parade. Let's do it down in Quiapo where we can control the mob. Mob rule cannot work, should not work. So all the people who helped organize this, I ask you again, why don't you look at all the people that were inconvenienced, hurt, maimed, if need be, or those who may have even passed on because of the mob squad? It's fun in the Philippines, and that's what we have on the media. We're stepping on top of each other's head and jumping 10 feet, trying to make, trying to reach that cross, and jumping using the head of some other person you don't know, just to jump and only to miss and bang on something else and fall down, and you're being pulled away, carried away by the mob. It was like a rock concert without a rock star. Well, Jesus is a rock star, without question. But the confusion, the chaos performed by the Filipinos down there, in the presence of the police, assuming that people did study and plan for security and order. There was no order, there was no security. Interestingly enough, they caught a number of pickpockets who they beat up right there and then. Love to God, and let's beat this guy up because he stole my cell phone. Ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the values we're going to have to start working on to prove to the world that it's fun to be in the Philippines is a certain type of discipline, so that we're not a crazy group of people which we just portrayed. And on to our show. We'll talk more about the disciplines, we'll talk about our values, we'll talk about our morals and all the different issues that make this country fun. Trust me, we will get to that subject. But before we do that, we have a guest with us tonight. Of course, we've got Dr. John Teope, who's with us to co-host. And we've got from Intellectual Property and an expert in the elections. In this case, she represents she wears another hat, and her name is Attorney Sara Suguitan, and she's with Lente. Lente stands for the Legal Network for Truthful Election. Hello, Attorney. John, kumusta na?
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
I hope you don't mind about my little commentary about this fiasco in Quiapo that I saw this morning, because really,
You're concerned about the safety, of course, and the security of the 9 million people who go there.
there was no security.
Well, there was supposed to be
No, there was no security.
an authority figure in the form of the police. That's
How?
why they're there.
But
Because of
what
the
did the
security
police do?
risks.
They just let the mob go and go up the statue. Did you see it this morning on TV?
Okay. Pag nakita natin yung nangyari sa TV, and when you look at what is happening in the society, specifically right now, our topic is perception and social media. Parang nakikita ngayon ng tao na ang Pilipino ay kailangan lamang maging deboto para umunlad. Ang pag-unlad ng tao, for you to be successful, it is not just through devotion and religion. You need to work hard. And this is the culture that is being injected right now by the social media and even by the media per se. So the problem is that, do we need to show it on national TV? Will it just be a private affair? So sometimes even religious practice being commercialized.
I know where security came in. At the height of it, at about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock this morning, they decided, Malacanang stepped in and says, call the networks, call the communication networks, Smart and Globe, and I guess Sun, cut off the lines in that area in Quiapo so no one can text. Then I heard somebody say, how about the losses for that day? Because ang laki ng loss, syempre, puputulin mo yung, is government going to pay for that? I started thinking, I was driving the car and I said, gee, how's that going to help security? I don't understand. Why even have police if all they're going to do is sit there and look at the chaos? They allow the chaos to participate. Let's not poop on the devotees. Huh? The devotees have their own Catholicism, their own religion, their own faith that they follow and they believe in it. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I celebrate that. And I will never question it. I will not question the church. I do question why we allow them to step on each other's heads. What's the difference with Wawawi when that accident happened with 170, 150 people died?
That's a Filipino culture right now.
So that's a culture. So that's fun in the Philippines.
That's
stepping on each other's head.
That's what's happening in every government offices, stepping on each other's head, private offices.
It's symbolic.
Symbolic. tumapa ka para makarating sa taas. Tapakan mo yung kaopisina mo. Tapakan
Well,
mo
never mind about that. Let's go into the legal. Attorney, what's up with elections? You know, ano na ito? 2012.
Yes, it's election year next year. Elections are fast
So,
coming.
umiinit na,
Yes,
umabaga na.
Yes, we have local officials that are local and national officials who are going to be elected or re-elected, as the case may be.
Attorney Sara, could we...
Midterm, di ba? Midterm
Yes.
tayo, midterm
Yes.
election.
Kasi in terms of elections, the perceptions right now, social media, people, is that there is no such thing as an honest election. Most of them bought their way into office. Ba't pa tayo mag-election kung lahat naman luloko yung mananalo?
Perception, perception.
It's different from the truth.
Perception nga.
Go get yourself a judge, move pass, and go to court.
I would quote Attorney Bono Adasa. Sabi niya sa isang show natin, for you to be accredited or to win in a partyless election, you need to pay somebody in the COMELEC. And even this, sabi niya in some of our episodes, and even some media man, and even...
Di ba malinis na COMELEC? Meron na tayong electronic counting machine, di ba? We were able to find our president in 24 hours. Isn't that true, Attorney?
And even
That was the result.
Malinis na ba?
And even
That was the
the
result.
election of 2010 is still in question right now. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa napuprove na malinis ang election of 2010.
I think 207 and 204 is even now being the case against GMA. Di ba, former GMA?
Yes,
Yeah.
for electoral sabotage.
So kaya ba, Attorney Sara, magkaroon ng malinis?
Well, yan ang isa sa advocacy ng mga lawyers who are with the Legal Network for Truthful Elections. As a watchdog, actually we monitor election offenses. And one of the most prevalent election offenses is election buying. As you said,
ang problema dito is terms of election protest. Talo yung nagpo-protesta eh. Ang panalo, abogado eh.
Paano yan? Di ba, we had Smartmatic. And then the COMELEC celebrated them together with this government, this administration. And we were able to identify our president in less than 24 hours. Are you saying that was a failure? It wasn't a failure, or was it a failure?
It was not a failure in the sense that it was conducted. Nobody knew that there was going to be automated elections in 2010. And as a matter of fact, we have Commissioner Monsod way back during Cory's term pressing for automated elections to lessen the probability of cheating in elections. Ngayon, ang naging problema sa 2010 automation was that it wasn't centered on the voter. People had to center and adjust to the machine. And we had that experience wherein we had crowded classrooms.
I had that problem. I
You had
refused.
that
I couldn't
problem.
vote. Because ang tawag doon, clustering eh.
Yes, a clustering. People had to adjust to the machine, which is
baliktad.
Baliktad. Dapat the machine should adjust to the volume and to the capacity of the voters. So that is what I think the COMELEC is looking into, and that is why they are calling in civil society groups to review what kind of automation should we be using for 2013. Definitely, it will be automated again. We don't know if it's going to be Smartmatic again or another service provider, and we don't know what system
But why are we
COMELEC
being
will be
left in the
using.
dark? If we already know what we don't want, why can't we seem to identify what we want and go ahead and identify who it is who will be our supplier ahead of time? Instead of, well, if it's not going to be Smartmatic, who can it be? Who will it be?
Well, honestly, I think the COMELEC is bogged down right now with the electoral sabotage case. So, I'm not sure. All I've seen for 2010, for the electoral reforms that Chairman Brillantes is fostering, is that this one includes the electoral reforms. One of the electoral reforms is to either change the automation or the service provider, and to take into consideration the inputs of the voters in 2010. Kasi kahit kami, marami kami.
Most of the losing candidates, specifically all losing candidates, they would say they were cheated. And in the 2010 election, they say that they always blame the automated election.
But whether
That's what
automated,
social media is saying.
Yeah.
That's what I keep reading on Twitter, the blogs and whatnot.
You know, but there's truth to the saying that in the Philippines, there are no losers. No? Everybody's just cheated. So,
yan.
even if it's
Totoo yan.
automated or manual, those who lose elections always claim that they've been cheated. They don't admit to defeat. Okay, very few. Ngayon, as to the matter of course, the transparency of the speed of the electoral protest cases, these are definitely something that, well, the government has to look into. Kasi otherwise, who will be accountable for what? If it's a never-ending story of justice being delayed, then it's justice denied for a lot of candidates and voters as well.
One of the priorities I brought up to Attorney Bono and Alan was, there were two things I said. what would you, given the opportunity, what would be priority reform? Judiciary or the COMELEC, or education or infrastructure or the economy? And interestingly enough, Attorney, Bono and Alan said, no, reform the COMELEC was first and foremost as the priority, so that the true will of the people will come out. So, and they're saying that many, for example, the Computer Association Society or something, with Totti, I remember he was part of the Ortiz, or Totti, he was one of the hosts here. They said that the Smartmatic was imbued with a lot of corruption within, or kalokohan, maraming kalokohan daw system nila. And that's what the protests are about, if I'm not mistaken. How does Lente feel about that? You're so engaged kasi with protecting the people's rights, am I right?
Well, of course, our name says it all. We're after truthful elections, which means that the will of the people is reflected by the ballot. So if the ballot says the winner is President X or Mayor X, then that must be a reflection indeed of the true will of the people. Now, when it comes to the accountability of the service provider, well, admittedly, we're not ourselves technical people, but we are after transparency. Did they really, for example, genuinely win the bidding process, the procurement of the automation process in 2010? That's still in question. I don't think we have put an end to that. Well, we have waylaid it, but that is not an answer to the still ongoing distrust that a lot of civil society groups have with regard to the automation process in the 2010 elections.
Ikaw, doktor dyan.
Yeah.
Approve ka ba dyan sa COMELEC na yan?
Titignan nga natin. When you look at the election as the COMELEC as the pillar of pre-election or an honest election, the mandate is there. But the problem is that, as I always mention, the people within. The people within, there are always questions of corruption, questions of anomalies. But, ang tanong nga sino yung malinis na pwede nating ilagay sa COMELEC? Who is really a person of objectivity that would say that this COMELEC would not...
But isn't that what Sixto Brillantes is supposed to represent, and the new commissioners that were brought in?
May nagsabi, bakit siya ang in-appoint as the chairman of the COMELEC when in fact he was an election lawyer and meron siyang pinapanigan? May interest siya.
That's one of the objections to his appointment to chairman, actually. Yeah, so...
But Lente didn't put up, you were too busy with the other issues. Did you go against COMELEC?
Well, when it comes to the selection of the chairmanship and also of the commissioners in COMELEC, as a matter of fact, one of our heads was nominated to become commissioner and chairman before...
Yes, the man who had the accident,
yes,
no?
Attorney Carlos Medina, who also heads the Human Rights Center.
You know how, during elections...
Siya rin dapat sa Truth Commission Hindi lang na-aksidente yan
During elections, maraming kumikita. The election strategist is there.
The campaign managers.
The campaign manager. The election broker. And what is the role of the election broker? We would not, because regardless of how good your strategy is, we do not have any election broker that would talk to a certain person in the COMELEC, whether it is in the national or in the local level, we will not win the election.
So you're saying it's corrupted, John?
Yes, it's corrupted.
Do you agree with this perception that the COMELEC is corrupted?
Well, why else would you want truthful elections? You see, civil society exists to voice out dissent. The problem is when you disagree with an institution, you get hit. So, I mean, in the past, we've had NAMFREL, we've had PPCRB, we've had individuals voice out their objections to COMELEC, the processes, and ang problema kasi we shoot the messenger tas wala nangyayari. And that is why for us...
But who should we shoot? The winner?
Oh, yeah, who should we shoot?
No,
in this case, the institution itself, because that's where it's the body empowered by the Constitution to implement the right of suffrage of everybody. So if that institution is something that you cannot trust, then whether you're a candidate or you're a voter, you will abuse it.
But it's been said, and it's perception again, in media, in social media as well, that our elections, the COMELEC, is imbued with wholesale corruption, vote buying, pressure, and it's a known fact. Di ba manalo ka sa Pilipinas, tatakbo ka. Even the very people who receive the mandates, congressmen, mayors, senators. Who was that one who said, senator just recently, you need at least 80 million and he was corrected. Hindi na, 120 million na kailangan mo ngayon just to run. Why 120? Why even 5 million? Why even 10 million? Diba? Here, it's imbued with total corruption. And it is almost, it's endemic that every institution in the country has already been corrupted or tainted with what you call corruption. How do you correct a system like this? Parang, here we go again with the COMELEC. We've got, nagrigodo na naman yung mga upuan, bagong commissioner na naman.
Exactly.
Are you happy? Is Lente, this is the Ateneo Law Group as well, di ba?
Yes,
Are they happy that we have a whole bunch of new heads? Or I think they're now called the white hairs, di ba? Because Brillante is there, Puti, what's his name? The other guy from the Association of Motor Vehicles, I think. Gas Lagban, di ba? Of course, you still have Sarmiento and two more. But I don't understand. I mean, it's so, the perception is so clear. It's so wide. It's accepted that, like John is putting it very casually, corrupted lahat yan eh. How do we correct a system like this? How does Lente, with all the youth, with the academe behind you, with all your ideals, how will you now address the new COMELEC?
Well, we're working with the new COMELEC on an advisory capacity, particularly on what kind of automation to use for
Importante
2013.
yun, I guess.
Importante yun because a lot of past commissioners feel that one of the solutions to eradicating vote buying and cheating in the elections is automation. The problem was, in 2010, a lot of people distrusted the results because they do not understand how the machine works, and there was no proof as to how they really know that that is not pre-programmed to choose a certain or favor a certain candidate.
That was the issue.
Yes, so the problem seems to be aggravated by the fact na how do you hold the machine transparent and accountable for the results that it generates. Okay, so while automation is still a solution to the problem of vote buying and dishonest
Yun mahirap,
elections.
ano? Pag vote buying, mahirap. Hindi niya na...
Hindi rin,
It's
Harry.
external.
Hindi, paano nila makakontrol? Hindi pwede kung gusto talaga mabili na isang
You know,
tao.
when you go to the
normal
local
yun.
level, the vote buying is that they have a ready código.
Código that you copy.
Then they would copy it. It's a wholesale vote buying. During the 2010 election, some interviews that we have in some areas.
But it's their human right to be sold and bought, to be corrupted by
Now
the
that's
next...
where education should come in. Whether they choose money
Kung gusto
or...
nyo ibenta, wala kang magagawa.
Wala magawa eh.
Di ba? Ako, bibenta ko. You give me 1,000. You get my family's vote.
Kaya
Diba?
that's the problem eh. When automation came in, the only way that you would cheat, that the candidate could cheat, is that through vote buying. Kasi
Yes.
you could not monitor.
It became more rampant, actually.
It's so rampant in
Pero
2010.
hindi
became
pwedeng
more
hulihin
rampant.
po yun, di ba, attorney? Hindi pwede hulihin yan.
Mahirap magkaroon ng proof kasi actually I think bawal ang kódigo in 2010 in some precincts na very strict
Hindi
yung...
kailangan daw eh,
natin.
sa sobrang dami ng
Oh,
pangalan.
ang haba kasi ng balota eh. Tsaka
Pero syempre yung
back-to-back
pera,
yung
tinanggal
ganun.
na dun sa kodigo.
It was unlike before na there was a way for the vote buyers to check whether they have been voted in the ballot. Dun sa automated system, bago yung sistema. So it was harder. Pwede bang i-carbon copy? Hindi. Pwede bang may bantay sa loob? Hindi, unless illiterate or disabled. Ang daming naging parang hadlang to ensure na yung vote buying will be implemented inside the ballot. So during voting. So that in itself was a deterrent effect to those who were... So vote buying became an external practice. So it didn't have to occur during the precinct, in the precinct, and while voting.
Because
Has
before,
to
it was
be
prior.
before, and it was really, we had reports everywhere.
It was
very,
rampant,
very
yes.
rampant.
And successful.
And it was so hard to prove.
Yung dagdag bawas
So hard
was
to prove.
eliminated in the automation. Because it's very hard to come up with the dagdag bawas.
So yung 07, na wala na yung dagdag bawas, umiba naman ang strategiya. Let's buy them
2010, yes.
before
Buy
they
them.
even come out of their houses.
Maraming hindi kumita sa COMELEC. Sa automation. If there is a program, siguro, baka meron.
Ito nangyayari ngayon. This is all related to the COMELEC tower. Electoral sabotage yung case ni GMA.
Yes.
This is good, right?
For us, it's Actually, it's more than the process. Okay, now we have something going on, we have a court case, pero ang problema, and as we all know, and I'm a lawyer and I'm ashamed to admit this, it takes easily 50 years, 40 years before someone gets acquitted or what? You say something.
No, tama yan. Only 70, 80 years.
70, 80 years.
Yeah, that's okay. Ganun naman ang Supreme Court, Court of Appeals.
But we need the courts to write an ending into this case because otherwise nothing gets resolved. We need the decision, a final ruling, guilty or not guilty.
Attorney, in 80 years, you will have it. We're going to have to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we do come back, we're going to go now into what we call social media and exactly what it does. The reason we brought Lente into it and we brought the election is because in many of the shows past, we always talk about priority on what exactly we should reform first. And believe it or not, it's not the judiciary. After all, it only takes 80 years, but at least one day after 80 years, you will get a decision. But the real issue here is the COMELEC because the will of the people is thwarted. It's being corrupted by the system. So what exactly and how exactly are we going to improve our country? So I guess a priority based on the legals and a lot of our guests is let's reform the COMELEC. I thought putting people with white hair gave it a bit of intelligence. I guess not. So I guess I'm also putting myself down. Time to color the hair. We'll be right back.
We're back. These days where people are really hooked up on the internet, the TV and other newspapers are sometimes not being usually the means of looking at the news. People right now look at the Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. And social media, social networking sites creates perception on what is happening within the society. Things such as the corona phenomenon and even this Black Nazarene. They have so many perceptions about this. And if you would now open your Twitter and Facebook, there are so many postings about the current issues and even opinions of individuals who are really worthy of acceptance and needs to be entertained. Last night when I was looking at Facebook and Twitter, there were so many opinions about the corona impeachment, about the GMA election sabotage, and even the Black Nazarene, and even other news such as the showbiz and even sports. So the perceptions and even the quickness of the internet and the World Wide Web do create an instant mindset that delivers to the perception of every individual that sometimes I don't know whether it is advantageous or disadvantageous, specifically when people would now discuss the guilt of Justice Renato Corona and even the guilt of GMA and even the innocence of GMA and the innocence of Renato Corona and even the 188 congressmen who signed the impeachment case. And when you look at YouTube right now, when you would go to GNN, Talk to Harry, you would look at the different postings of people who watch our show in the YouTube, and daddy to say they have good perceptions, and others maybe they would say that they might not like the taste, but in a certain point that's a part of democracy. So as we continue on the second part of our program, we would now discuss perceptions in social media. So let's go to Atty. Sara. May Facebook si Atty. Sara eh.
We're both on Facebook. We're both on Facebook.
So what is your latest post sa Facebook? The status.
About Corona. About Corona. Well, actually, in the last elections, 2010, when Lente was very active, it was one way for us to recruit volunteers. No, we used Facebook, we used Twitter, and right now, the thing about non-traditional media, which is social media, meaning it's not TV, it's not newspaper, it's on the web, is that number one, it can go viral. So you can reach a lot of people in the least cost, and also number two, it is a tool. So you can popularize, you can mobilize people through social media. It has been successful in past election campaigns. Take for example, Barack Obama. So ginamit niya yung Twitter, ginamit niya yung Facebook, nag-trend siya, and he got votes, he got volunteers, he got support. So yung perceptions is another thing. Whether you use whether you have social media under control in order to elicit a certain perception that you want. For example, that you are guilty or not guilty in the bar of public opinion, that is social media, measured by social media, then that's another thing. No? For example, we gauge beauty pageant success based on the hatred or the love that is reflected in social media. So it can be a very powerful tool and a very accurate expression of popular opinion.
You know, it's interesting. Last week, it starts off like this. I read an article about the power, the influence of Bloomberg in America. How Bloomberg has grown from just a TV financial reporting media, because they basically give their own analysis towards financial performance of stocks and whatnot. Yes, trading.
Right.
And they've gotten so good at it that Bloomberg, who is now incidentally the mayor of New York, who was once removed, and I don't think he's going to run again, he's going to go back, and they believe that Bloomberg is going to even go more leaps and bounds, who is now the perception in the financial world, he has become even more, or the network has become even more so powerful. Over the weekend, I found it very interesting. It was on Bloomberg TV. That's why I said, I'm going to stop and I watch. And I was surfing the TV channels. And there was a debate about traditional media versus social media. So you had three people on the left on one side, and the proposition was, do we get rid of traditional and social media, or do we keep it and we keep, either the proposition was, are you for maintaining traditional media, or should we just let it go because it's not doing anything, it's on a downturn, and social media can do everything already. You no longer need the other side. And it went on for an hour, and they talked about the financial side, what keeps a network going, a media network. It's advertising, basically, it's advertising. And physically holding a newspaper, a book, or something, or magazine, and reading your news together with other information that you may not be interested in. For example, newspapers will carry celebrities, talk about the artistas and whatnot, sports, motorsports. We'll talk about a writer with an editorial. It will also cover news events, politics. It will also do business. It will do advocacies. It will talk about environment. Maraming topics. But you see, when you buy the media, you buy that platform, be it a newspaper or a magazine, you have everything there, and you have the ads. That's what powers that media. Unlike social media, people are still trying to figure out how to make money out of it, because the minute you charge, it's free.
It's free. The business model is that it's free.
That it's free. That's the problem. How will that survive? Now, also, trending is also so erratic to the point that what interests one person, and because either it's got to be scandalous, fantastic, extraterrestrial, or something, before people will start following and tweeting. Anyway, to cut the long story short, when the show started, the proposition was winning that, no, let's get rid of traditional media and go social media. At the end of the debate, guess which way it turned out?
It goes
in favor of the traditional media. But first of all, let's define. Traditional media, we mean TV, radio, newspapers.
And yes, correct.
Okay, non-traditional, everything in the website,
everything
Facebook, Twitter, blogs, etc., etc. Now, when everything went online, definitely newspapers started to suffer decline in profits. Kasi kasi you have the youth, that demographic searching.
Niche,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a niche. Well, the demographic, instead of buying newspapers, would go online for their news. They won't watch TV. They'll watch TV for entertainment, not news, for example. But they will go online for their news, which is why there was a
And they will seek
decline in
out the news that
profits.
they want.
That they want, that
niche
are
news,
relevant to them. However, professionally speaking, and this is what I think a lot of veteran journalists think. For example, you take a photo. For example, in the Iligan and Cagayan de Oro floodings, there was a photo of a man holding a baby, all muddied, and it was a very graphic picture, and it went viral, and everyone was saying this is a photo taken in Cagayan de Oro, and somebody else saying, and then people repost it, share it on their wall. So a lot of
it went viral.
there's a
It went
multiplier
everywhere.
effect. And well, you didn't have to buy a newspaper or turn on your TV first at a specific time to know that yun yung palabas. Okay, just open your Facebook or your Twitter and it's there. It's easily accessible.
Where do you stand? You're for or you're against?
For me, traditional media will not go away simply because of the professionalism that goes into this process called vetting. For example, that photo, nobody knows where it originated from. Sa dami ng reposts and sa dami ng shares. So how do you know that that is not photoshopped? That is not that is indeed taken
So
from
the real
Cagayan de
news is
Oro.
traditional.
So the real news, the one that, well, at least I think there is a process that is undertaken in writing news. For example, the ones that we publish on newspapers, the ones that we air on TV, this has to be well researched. And if it is not verified by 2 or more sources,
That's one of the
then you
points.
cannot.
That's one of the points that was raised in that debate.
Yeah, it
The
will not
ability
be shown in
to-
traditional media kasi they follow ethics. Whereas sa social media, you have no accountability. I can
no
post
accountability.
something, I don't have to give an attribution, and I do not have to say whether that's true or not.
On that note, using that note, let's not lose that. Let's jump into the Philippines. It's more fun. No, but using that note on
Okay.
social media, diba? And staying there.
Yeah.
Now it's been presented. The new slogan. I mean, it wasn't enough that we've already branded Wow Philippines. It wasn't enough. We had to create a new one. Now, how do you feel about? Because I've read so much over the post. It's more fun in the Philippines. First of all, do you like it?
You know,
Do you
Harry.
like it?
Okay, Harry. The slogan per se is the window of the Philippines. It's more fun in the Philippines. And the tourism aspect is more of marketing the Philippines. Now, when you go to the basics of marketing, as we mentioned, the piece of marketing, product, place, promotion, packaging. Now, the mere slogan itself would package the entire country. But coming up with a slogan, there should be a lot of testing and looking at all the scenario for you to come up with the wordings of the slogan. Now, the only question that I'm trying to look at right now is that, is the slogan, when it comes out at this point in time, wherein there is the Corona impeachment, there is the Black Nazarene, problems of GMA, poverty, and they would say right now, it's
Sendong.
it's more fun in the Philippines.
The timing is off. I
The
mean,
timing is up. And the PR of the Department of Tourism, I don't know what kind of a methodology they use in terms of the research and even the brainstorming and the variables that they
He's
have.
supposed to be an ad genius. Jimenez is supposed to be an ad genius. I mean, he's celebrated as one.
And social media, okay. There was even a slogan, same as that, in Switzerland. It's more fun.
Yeah, 1956.
Yeah.
1956.
Yeah.
Ako problema ko talaga, ito observation na to. Though I'm not gonna drag my organization into this personal view. Kada nagpapalit ng administrasyon, kailangan palitan yung seal, palitan yung slogan or logo. Kailangan burahin natin yung yung marka ng dating administrasyon.
Iba hindi yun.
Mentality.
Ang punto dun, kasi pag sila nag-propose ng panibagong programa, panibagong pondo, panibagong launching. Ikaw naman eh.
Ikaw. For me, okay, I prefer Wow Philippines. And that's personal.
I agree with you. I have the same stand.
Oh, I go with Wow Philippines.
I would discuss it this way. A slogan is nothing but a tagline.
Yeah.
And most people think that this is the answer of bringing our tourists. Wrong. Number one, it's called branding. Branding is the ability to actually succeed in providing the deliverables of the slogan. The slogan is just one of the strategies. It's just one of the ways. A slogan is to say, more fun in the Philippines, and like you described, how can it be more fun in the Philippines if in our media, in our social media, we are tweeting, blogging, and in traditional media, we're showing the chaos, disaster, and whatnot. Meaning, there is no deliverable to the word fun.
So that's that's a problem, Harry. Same as to the ordinary advertising of different products. When you go to the fast food chain, you would see, wow, the chicken is very big. Looks delicious. Once it is delivered, oh, so small.
Truth in advertising. That's his point.
Well, you know what I find funny now? They have a new ad coming out on radio and TV now. It's called the advertising standards something. The classification, meaning truth in advertising. How can we have truth in advertising if we have ads like, let's see, what's this airline? Cebu Pacific. For 600 pesos, you can now go from here to here. The minute you go to the airport, your 600 pesos becomes 6,000. I mean, look at it.
Hidden charges.
Buy this unit, this condominium unit, and only pay 5,000 a month. Apply ka ngayon. Yung 5,000 mo, hindi, maraming babayaran mo muna bago mo apply yung 5,000. Meron pa mga car companies. Own this car for only 6,000 a month. Yung pala, yung 6,000 a month mo, magda-down payment ka ng 60%. Di ba? I mean, before you get it, there is no truth for advertising. There's called lokohan. Di ba? Lokohan.
You mentioned, Harry, the tagline, kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. Ano, sa masasabi mo?
Kung maraming mahirap, di maraming kurap. No, but going back to branding, that's what
I mean, it's just a slogan. Kung pagdating mo dito, hindi pa rin tourist-friendly everything. It's still hard to get from one place to another, and then there are horrendous rates, inflation for
there's no water in the toilet.
There's no, yes, exactly.
No water.
Still have the worst airport.
Yeah, the worst airport in the world.
Tourist-friendly doesn't mean slogan. Let's go beyond that. It has to represent everything. Everything has to act in unison. And the tourists are not just the foreigners. That includes all of us. I mean, when I travel to a certain province, sometimes kung hindi ako yung mag-aasikaso, I have to pay a travel agent to make sure that my trip is hassle-free. Otherwise, you're gonna go backpacking around the Philippines. Good luck.
Well, good luck. I agree with you. I think the slogan has nothing to do with the brand. And at this point, we have to brand Philippines. Yeah. We really have to brand Philippines. And the only way we can brand that is based on the deliverables that we can actually convey or promote. How it took them 7 months to come up with a slogan that is not deliverable, because at this day and date, I mean, right now, you can't. I mean, the only airport in the country that has a tube that is senior friendly, citizen friendly, is only in Manila. Outside that, if you can't walk, you know, you're in a wheelchair, wala na, kakargayin ka, kung saan-saan. I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And you walk down the tarmac, pag umuulan, mababasa ka, they give you an umbrella. I mean, it's ridiculous. Fun, when you've got the Abu Sayyaf, and we got this last Australian, this Australian soldier just came out over the weekend, and they're asking so many $1 million to get him off because kinidnap na naman.
Exactly.
I mean,
address all that. I mean, the tourism secretary has to address, get everybody work together, roads, bridges, attitude, infrastructure,
but
everything.
The slogan should have been a composition of what is currently deliverable. Yun para sa akin. And the basics that we have that no other country can really say it's or have a conflict with. Is our sun, our heat.
Exactly. No, that the product is there. The natural resources, the natural resources, it's there. Yes, it's a given. Pero
to go one stage higher to say you have more fun in the Philippines. Hello, I'm not. Hey, there's a lack of branding here. This is all marketing. Marketing is only one of the stages of branding. It is branding first.
You mentioned branding. The idea right now is the deliverable or the substance. When you go to the academe, maraming eskwelahan, they are advertising themselves in media. Pero onti pa rin ang pumapasok. Pero look at schools such as LaSalle, Ateneo, wala siyang advertisement, mahalang tuition fee.
The branding is there.
Kasi, the main point is that people would look at the quality and the output, the deliverables. So, even if mahal, so if you're really a good school or a good product, don't say it. Just like in the Chinese point of view.
No, I disagree there. You need PR, you need to create the brand. You need to brand it and promote the brand. But make sure that your brand has specific integrity.
Tama ka.
May integrity.
Walang deception.
Oh,
Walang deception.
Kasi,
You know what? We're at the top of the hour and we gotta close, so very quickly, your parting words, Attorney Sara Suguitan.
Okay. Personally, I don't think there's a copyright infringement in the slogan because nobody has a monopoly over slogans or expressions. However, Polska meron siyang copyright infringement because they copied the whole design. Just so you know, because I'm also into intellectual property. And for the coming elections, more than just eliminating vote buying, let's choose our leaders well this time around.
Dr. John?
siguro, let's reconcile election. It's more fun in the Philippines. Ano? So the idea is that if people and the election process would be good and we would be electing good leaders and we would have a good electorate and we would have a good electorate, good leaders, good products, which means that good leaders that would deliver good services to the community, no corruption, everything would be good. Harmony, progress in the country. And I could say it's more fun in the Philippines.
Okay, very quickly, it's more fun in the Philippines because here we can step on each other's head. Just did it this morning.
Praying is more fun in the Philippines.
There you go. We have the elections, 2012. There's going to be more money going around, so good for everybody. To hell with America, we're spending money here. What else, you know? I mean, there's so many things, the deliverables. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm making a mockery of all these things, but I'm only doing this because I'm trying to cite something that is deeper and what we should more understand, something that we can rally together with. Either way, it's not an option. We have to stay together and we have to do something. We don't have any other country to run to. As much as I put down, I poo-poo, as I say it, or I make fun of a lot of issues, it's deliberate because the intention is to be farcical, to bring out the finer points without necessarily having to tell you right into your face something you already know. Maraming salamat po. Good night. Thank you very much. Stay with us. Next week, we'll be back. We'll have more for you right here on GNN. Thank you very much, Attorney.
Thank you, Mr.
John?
Tambuatco.
You are what you watch.